Hello, this is Sophia Allen explaining my number 3 homework YouTube question. So this is a problem where I'm supposed to take a file which has a list of names, one first and last name per line, and then for each of those names in that file, we're going to figure out its numeric value and then write that name and its numerical value into a new file. So first up, I've got some helper functions to make this program work a little bit easier and to make it simpler. So first up, I've got a function to get the numeric value of a single name. I'm calling it numValue, and it's taking in a string name as an argument. And within that, I've got a couple things going on. One is I have a string sum accumulator, which I'm initializing to 0. And I'm also taking that name argument and converting it all to lowercase so that I can more easily and more uniformly calculate its numeric value in a moment here. So for each letter in that name that's been given and turned into lowercase, I'm calculating its value, and my formula here is getting the ORD, or in other words, the Unicode number of that letter minus the ORD of the Unicode for the letter A plus 1. So for example, if my letter was A, I would get a Unicode number. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. And I'm subtracting from that letter the same code of the letter A. So A's code minus A would be 0. And I'm adding a 1 on just to adjust for a 1 index system of our alphabet instead of 0 index like most sequences are in computer programming. Then once I've got the value of each name here, I am calculating its total value by, for each letter, adding its value to my total. And at the very end of this function, I get my total. So that will give me the numeric value for one name. For two names in a row, I have a second function here, a complex name value, which takes in several names as one string. It first splits the names into a list of names. So if they have a name that is 3 names long, maybe their first, middle, and last, it will create a list of 3 different names, one for each of the words in that string. I've also got a sum accumulator called total set to 0, and then for each of those names I'm finding its numerical value and then adding it to my total accumulator, and in the end returning total. So now I've got a way to find the value, the numeric value of a string that contains several names, for example first and last. Now we're getting to the function where I'm actually reading those names from the file and writing them out. So first I have specified that my name value report, my main function here, is going to take 2 arguments, in file and out file. That way the user can specify which file of names they want to read in and what they'd like to name the file to write those names and their values to. Next, I need to open up those files. So I'm opening my in file that the user has specified, and I'm using R to make it clear that I want to read from that file. And then I'm using open to open the out file that they specified with a W to make it clear that I want to write to that file and not read it. Otherwise it wouldn't work. And then I'm also remembering each of those files by storing them to variables. So in file to remember where I'm reading from, and out file to remember where I'm writing to. Next, I'm going to go through each line of names in the file. So Python, when it reads a file, reads an entire line at a time, including the backslash and line break hidden character that we can't see when we're typing text files, but it's there nonetheless. So for each line of names in my in file, I'm calculating its numeric value by using my complex name value function that I've got up above. And I'm doing this for the entire name line. So since one line contains a first and last name, that'll give me two names. So this complex name value should be able to handle those more complicated multiple string names. And then, this is the more complicated looking piece. What I'm doing is I'm going to write the name and its value to my out file. So I'm giving print a few arguments here. The first argument is the first thing that I want to print, and that is the name line that I'm reading in from my in file, but not the entire name line. So I'm telling it with these little brackets here to read everything except for the last character in that line. So that way I'm reading the name, but I'm not reading the break character. I don't want to have a weird space or a new return line between the name and its numerical value. So I've got my name, and then I'm also printing the number value that I just calculated on the line above, and then I'm printing it specifically to the out file. So it's going to do that for each name that goes through this loop, which should be every name that is in my in file. And then finally, I need to close anything that I've opened, so I'm closing my in file and I'm closing my out file. Let's run it and make sure that it works. So I've already created a file, names.txt, for us to use here. So let's hit F5 to run. It's been saved. And here we go. Name val report. And I want to open up my in file is named names.txt. And let's call my out file name vals.txt. Okay, no error reports on that screen, so let's check my folder to make sure that the new file is there. Okay, there's my names file that I read in. Here's named vals. Open it up. Very nice. I've got my list of names, and next to each of them on the same line is the value, the numeric value of that name. Thank you for watching, and I will probably be right back here next week with my next homework assignment. Bye.